Hello guys, it's Glurmit here, and today's video is all about relic levels and when you should be investing in them. And I'm making this video for one of two reasons. The first is I just followed my own advice today, guys, and I took bigs to R8. Some of you will probably be saying it's a waste. I'm going to explain why I did it and why I'm very happy I did it in a second. And the second reason is we've been doing a lot of roster reviews lately, guys, and one of the things which is oh so common with you guys and just the whole community in general is so many people will unlock a Galactic Legend or a Journey Guide character and leave them at unlock level. Now I've got some examples of my roster to show you as well. So guys, when you're thinking about relicking characters, there's three reasons you're ever going to relic someone. The first reason is they are literally required for an unlock. For example, an example of someone on my account would be Paz Vizsla. I mean, he's a good relic, don't get me wrong, but he's literally required at Relic 7 for the unlock of Bo Mandalore. So that's the first reason, and the most common reason why all of you are doing that. Alright guys, small disclaimer, if my phone may ring at any time because I'm currently getting my car fixed up. So if that happens, this will be a weirdly recorded video. It'll be done in two parts, but you guys probably won't even realize. So the second reason you're going to be taking characters up in terms of relic levels is for fleets, guys. There are certain ships in this game that really do benefit from high relic levels, and there's also some that the high relic levels are actually at a disadvantage. Although I do kind of argue that there's never a disadvantage for high relic levels. It just makes some counters harder than normal. For example, guys, in the past, people would take their Cad Bane to R9 to outspeed their Beskar Mando, because originally you kind of wanted the Eternal to be the other way around. It's not so much a problem with punishing one now. Another example of that is Marauder. A lot of people either leave Marauder like 6 stars. I've seen this sometimes. I don't know why. I mean, 7 stars is always the way, but some people leave it 6 star. Some people even leave General Anakin without mods. Extremely crazy if you ask me, but it does make certain counters easier because turn order is important, right? However, there are some ships in this game that do benefit from higher relic levels. So examples, Fives is a very, very nice character to have a high relics. You know, his ship is decent. I'm not saying this is the best one to do. It's just an example, guys. His ship is extremely fast if you have R9 with 6 mods. It does a lot of damage, and it can influence counters because it allows you to get target lockout from the very start of the battle because you're going to go first. That's an example. Another example is obviously who I just did today. I'm currently 6-dotting the mods now, and that is Biggs. Now, he's not as important these days as he was in the past when Home 1 was a viable fleet. It's not terrible now, but it's just not as good as it used to be. However, I've done this to make the Leviathan counter easier. Now, some of you will be saying, well, Glurmit, you can just put in the Mark 6 Interceptor, that's Sith Empire Trooper ship, and you can kind of negate the issues you run into. But I would rather not break up the Leviathan fleet. So, I've been practicing a lot for myself, obviously this week in fleet arena battles, and since I've taken Biggs to R8, my success rate with just Rebels is way, way higher, to the point where I'm only really failing when I just get no RNG and I get no assists. And that's not even dependent on Biggs or anyone, that just can happen, right? So this is an example of a pilot you'd want to relic. Now, some of you will be saying, well, Glurmit, I'm not going to take Biggs to R8, I'm not going to take Fives to R9. I'm not telling you guys to do this, I'm giving you examples based on my account of decisions I've made. So some other pilots that you may want to work on here, guys, do include Iden. Iden is a fantastic high relic. You can see I've actually got the speed set. I need to slice this, guys. If you was watching a previous stream, I tried to counter. I did not do it right at all, but I did mention how you do need speed on Iden, so this is my mod that I'm going to slice to 6A. Get us some speed. But Iden benefits a lot from high relics because her ship gains a bunch of evasion. So you can see my deflection chance and my dodge chance right now is 29.83%. With 6.mods, it's going to be about 30%. And with Relic 8, it's going to be about 33 to 34%. Which is a big difference, guys. If it was a one-time dodge, I wouldn't really say this is 100, it's a 4% increase. But when you're literally having to dodge time again, right, like that, super quick, all the time, having high relics is very nice. So that's another example of a character who would benefit from relics. Another one, and guys, this one kind of hurts me, because I never was a fan in the past of this. This is why I never did it. But I think we're finally at the point where R9 Piet is kind of important for a lot of reasons. But that is another example. He would benefit a lot from the R9 because it gives the speed boost to Executor, it makes mirrors easier, makes Leviathan easier, you name it, it's going to be nice and fun. So those are some examples of fleet-related characters you want to be investing relic levels in. Look, I understand you're not going to be in a position where you're going to be doing R8, but what I'm suggesting to you guys is, say you farm a fleet, don't just leave all the characters at R5. So for example, if you have a Executor fleet, take Dengar to R7, guys, at minimum. I will be doing it myself once my Punisher 1 is 7-star, and it will make a big difference to a lot of counters. You don't need to be going to R8, you don't need to be going to R9 for the most part. I mean, you can if you want, right? But having these relic levels does change counters. So guys, that is the first example of when you're going to want to increase relic levels on characters. Now, the second example we're going to be talking about today is going to be just characters who demand relic levels. Now, obviously, the obvious ones here, guys, are the Galactic Legends. Now, there are almost like a tier list here of who deserves it more, but my argument would always be all of them really benefit from an R9 because Galactic Legends gain so much mastery, and mastery increases. As we know, mastery is reflected a lot in the relic levels. So having higher relic levels means more mastery, which means more bonuses and everything else related to it. So that is an example of someone who needs relic levels. But then we have very specific characters who do require or call out for higher relic levels. Now, the first one, I don't have them, guys. As you know, I was on a break and I missed basically all the Conquest characters. But due to refreshes, I will have Bane next month. So Bane is an example of someone who does benefit from high relic levels, not just on his own, but we're also talking about his team. And this is something I've noticed so many of you doing. So when we was looking at all the roster reviews, we go through some Grand Arena histories, I kept on seeing people losing with Bane against teams you shouldn't have lost against. And guys, you're gaining, so Bane's gaining mastery, he's getting max health, max protection. This is obviously going to be reflected slightly in his relic levels, so the higher relic level, the more he's gaining himself. Now, the important thing here though, guys, is he's also going to be gaining their stats as well as here. So when Bane or the other ally is defeated, the remaining ally is gaining 5% crit damage, offense, and potency, plus an additional 15% of these stats per the defeated character's relic amplifier. This is a big deal, guys. So if you're someone who has Bane unlocked and you're using him with an R5 Sith, why not bump them up to R7 and you gain a considerable increase to stats? So this is another example of someone who does require higher relic levels. Now, guys, if you're smart about this, you might say, well, I'm going for Leviathan. So you could say to yourself, you have a few options here. You could take Sith Marauder to R8, R9, or R7. You could take Sith Assassin to R7, R8, or R9, although I would kind of advise against that one because the ship isn't as good as it used to be. You could take Darth Maul. As of watching this video, if you watched this video in the past and the raid isn't out, then that would be a really bad idea. But if you wanted that extra damage in the raid, and you wanted someone just to throw with Bane to get the maximum output in stats, this is another example. So you can plan around, you can make good decisions. So we've already established there are some characters who do kind of require the higher relic levels. We've also established that there are some fleet characters and also Galactic Legends. So where else would we do higher relic levels, guys? Well, first, we're going to be looking at Galactic Legend teams. And for the most part, you want the teams to be high relic. We're talking relic 7 minimum. If you're going to sit through and farm a character for months and months and months, like we're talking 3-4 months at a time, Why leave the team at R5? Why leave it at unlock level? I see this all the time with Jabba. I just don't agree with it, guys. I understand if you have 1 or 2 there. Like, for example, I just never managed or had the time to do Embo, which is personally a regret from mine. I do wish he was R8. But having the team for the most part, or the key characters in the team, so for example, Leia and Chrysanthemum, at high relics, changes the hold rates and the offensive output by a long shot. So that is another example of someone who does require those higher relics. And then other ones are characters such as, I mean, this one's kind of a journey guide anyway now, but for example, Ahsoka Fulcrum, for example, Jedi Knight Cal, he's on the list for me to do personally. For example, Ben Solo. If you're an Afro enjoyer, you might do BT1. We're basically looking at attackers because the R8 mats, or the R8 amplifier level, massively affects the output that attackers have in this game. So again, really, really nice decision and choice for a relic level. Then obviously, as we've already discussed, you may just do relics for journey guide events, and that's perfectly fine. There are just some characters who you will just relic up for the journey guide. Maybe you take them higher, maybe you don't. So for example, a good relic for journey guides, Kelleran Beck. Fantastic relic 7. Would you take him higher? That's debatable. I think he's perfectly fine at R7. But it's an example where journey guide farms can be nice for relicking. And this is kind of more of a bonus one, guys. But we actually have one more reason that we would be taking characters above Relic 7 and into the higher tiers, and that is if you are someone who is farming for assault battles. Just like you would take up an assault battle team to get the Karatech return and Zeta return and some relic materials, it's also nice to be able to get some investment or return on investment on other assault battles. So we've got Master Qui-Gon, Captain Enoch, Death Trooper Peridia, Night Trooper, and Padawan Obi-Wan, who you can take to Relic 9 in order to get a good amount of passive income. Do you have to? No. But what I would recommend is, at a minimum, you are taking all of these characters to Relic 7, and I would recommend, if you're someone who either has a decent stockpile of R9 right now, or if you're someone that doesn't have as many as you want, but you know you're going to be pushing towards doing them later on, maybe you're 10 million GP and relic levels are an important thing to you now, maybe you want to be doing some of these higher relics that I've been talking about today and you just haven't really got around to it, then yes, you would benefit massively from doing the R9 because it's passive income. Again, if you're someone who's unlocking Leviathan or Profundity and you need to be ready for the event, then no, don't go and apply an R9 on Padawan Obi-Wan or Master Qui-Gon or Night Trooper or Peridia Trooper or Enoch or whatever, because you're not going to get that return on investment in the right time, in that time frame. But if you're someone who has time, maybe you've done the key R9s you're doing, maybe you're not interested in doing some others, then getting them and just getting that passive income can be very, very nice. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, this is a 2 relic investment versus 3. I understand that, and that's why I said take them to R7, because you still get a lot of the resources passively by doing so. Anyways, guys, that is my opinion on where you should take characters to relics. Now, I understand some of you'll be watching this and say, Glurmit, we ain't gonna listen to you, brother. You've got R9 and Saw and Young Han and all of this. I understand. I also have some very unoptimal Relic 9s. Remember, a lot of them, at least all the smugglers, were done for channel goals, completely unrelated to just playing the game. I literally did these as a thanks to you guys for supporting the channel. So I know I've got some unoptimal R9s. I also like to kind of test things out myself, and obviously before my break I did have a high amount of R9s for when I was playing, so I do need to catch up on myself. But in general, these are the best characters to be taking up to Relic 8, Relic 9, maybe even Relic 7. I know this is more of a general video going over types of characters. If you guys would like to see an actual video detailing the best characters to take to Relic 8 and Relic 9, because there's a lot of them, and it would follow similar styles to the previous videos where we just make a big list, we go through them, speak about each and every one. It would be a long video, probably like half an hour, but guys, if you want me to make that, let me know down in the comments. Comment something like, hey Glurm, make that video, do it. We wanna torment you. It's because it would take me a while to make it, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you did find this video somewhat useful. My name is Glurmit, and as always, guys, have a Glurmin day.